Hello, everyone, and welcome to the X Button Podcast, Season 5, Episode 24. My name is Joseph LaRussa, and with me are my lovely, lovely co-hosts of the X Button. First, the international traveler himself, Mr. Alejandro Segovia.
Hel-
Alex, hello.
Hello. Hello. Speaking from an undisclosed location here in Richmond, Virginia.
Very undisclosed, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. To anyone but us. How
Yeah,
you
for
doing? How you guys
sure.
doing? And
I'm doing all right. And to Mr. Paul Lee, as
Hey
his name
everybody, I just
indicates.
beat the world record for eating an entire pizza.
yep. As we're kind of like in our in-between
Very nice.
podcast. Good seeing
Now,
you
does that
guys.
world
hmm
does that world record count when it's a cauliflower crust? Is that like lighter on the stomach then, or isn't wheat
Hey,
heavier?
that's
Wouldn't that be?
digestion. That's a totally different ball game. It's a
Mm,
pizza. It
hmm
counts.
that's fair. That makes sense. Well, I'm glad to have you both with me here this week on the X Button. This is a full episode of the X Button, unlike our half episode last week with just Rick and I.
hmm
We are the X Button podcast, Escape Gaming's podcast that posts every Friday from 10 a.m. onwards, God willing, Eastern time, that is,
hmm
available in the YouTube channel Escape Gaming, as well as most audio services around the world, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. You can find links in the RSS feed at tinyurl.com/escapegaming. If you enjoy our show, give us a like and a subscribe,
And
please.
little, just a little housekeeping. Obviously last week we did that half episode because of just unforeseen like timing and kind of us trying to like aim for the 200th episode of the show for next week. If it happens, it may be another half episode again that just will live in YouTube exclusively, kind of like what Joe did with Rick with the GameStop episode with 198.5. We're just trying to like, I just need to be home with all my with all my equipment so I'm able to like host properly, and that's gonna be like a special occasion, and me and Paul have to be in it because we're like the OGs here. I've been in pretty much every episode except one official one, like the one when I was traveling. So except with these half episodes. So for like the special occasion, that's why we're trying to just align everything. This was supposed to be the week that I went back home, but plans change, and I'm still here.
He
But
fell in love with America. What can you say? We
I
all
mean,
love America.
I've always loved America, despite the fact that America doesn't love me. So, but how hard it makes it for me to love them. But that's just kind of thing. So for next week, like for 4th of July, like if you're expecting episode 200, push it another week for that one. But here we are for full episode. So,
Tiny push, tiny push.
hmm
Just
All right. Well, thank you, Alex, for that little housekeeping there. Appreciate it. And it's good to have you back here.
hmm
And Paul, always good to see you as well, my friend. Let's jump right into what we've been playing. I'm going to take the lead on this one, mostly
hmm
because I only have one game and I don't want to talk too much about it right now. I think this is the first time I've actually gotten to really talk about it on the
hmm
show because I haven't had too much time into it. But I've been playing Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I may have been a couple hours in the last time we
hmm
did a show where I talked about it, but I am much farther in now. I am in chapter 5. I have gotten a fourth party member finally
hmm
after 25 hours of playing. I have a full party here for combat. Uh, I don't think either of you have played this game, have you?
I
So,
played the first hour. I bought it on a
ooh,
sale.
1 hour.
Yeah, that's literally all I played. So
nope, nope for me.
All right, do you guys have any questions about it before I just talk about it for a little bit?
my big one
Um,
is I can start like which one do you like more? Just like a dragon or this one?
This one for sure. If only because they added in a button when you're strong enough to kill enemies that just insta kill all the enemies in combat. Like I love it. It's great. So like metaphor, you run around, you're strong enough, you just live action swing at them and they die, that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing in metaphor. In this one, you still go into the turn-based thing, but you hit L2 right away, and then they just do like one attack and everyone dies. Like it's super fast. So
Yeah.
that alone is enough to to like this one more. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still really early in the story though, so I can't really compare story beat to story beat yet. I
Mm-hmm.
am surprised at how little I've interacted with the old cast so far, because the old cast is really only in like the first chapter or so thus far,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been in Hawaii ever since then. So I am curious when I'll get them back because I know they come back. I know they're party members, and I like them. You grow attached to your party.
I've actually
Mhm.
Uh,
seen the.
so
Are we talking about like the old games, like Kiryu in that crowd,
no,
or?
we're talking just like Dragons 7
Okay.
to 8
Two.
here.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
all.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So that's my answer to your question right now, Alex. So far, I like this one more just because I like that combat system
Mhm.
and that speed up of that process. Which, to be fair, I've not gotten so high a level that that's happening often. There's really just like one little zone, but it's really nice. You run through the zone, boom, like you don't need to worry about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like this game a lot though. The difference is like a little bit more though. Like it's not like, oh my God, this is the greatest improvement over everything ever. It's just like a little bit more so far, and it may change. We'll find out.
Yeah. I'm curious where you land on it because I know like the consensus is that people call this the best one in the gameplay department, but people like the story of Seven a little bit more.
That's what I've heard. Yeah,
So
I've heard
I
that
wonder where
before.
you land in that one.
Yeah, we'll see where I land on it overall. It's gonna be tough for me just because the fact that I enjoyed Like a Dragon at all was a
Mhm.
shocker to me because when I learned that they were putting the Yakuza series as a turn-based franchise, I was almost hard out. I almost
Mhm.
said I won't do this. But
Mhm.
what ended up selling me on going into it was learning that they were continuing the story, that it was the same story. And then obviously with Kiryu's involvement in Infinite Wealth, I'm super glad that I played Like a Dragon because I
Mhm.
had to. I had to play that one to keep seeing Kiryu's story. And then especially the way the ending of Gaiden like obliterated my emotions. I was
Mhm.
definitely invested in seeing where it was going. I will say one thing without spoiling what I'm talking about. There's something that you learn that about Kiryu, and I had already known it going in, but I had assumed that it was originating from a different thing, and then finding out how it actually originates, I was like, really? You couldn't have
Mhm.
just gone with the obvious one. You had to go the crazy route, the one that's
Mhm.
like, really, that's how you're gonna do it.
Yeah. Just slight spoiler because it wasn't a trailer. It's a sickness, right?
Yeah, it is the
Yeah. Uh-huh.
sickness.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to
So.
me, it's just like that's why he's sick. You're gonna go with that instead of option A that makes perfect sense and is relatable to millions of people on the planet. You go with option B of crazy Yakuza stuff. It's like, all right, I guess that's fine.
Mhm.
It's not because he has cancer.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, it
It
is.
is, but it's why he has the cancer, is what I was.
Okay. Never
It's what
mind.
causes his cancer.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Never mind. My question is, as somebody who's never played any of them outside of maybe 20 minutes of Zero,
Yeah.
how does it line up between Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Gaiden, and The Man Who Erased His Name?
Mhm.
I don't understand any of those and how they
Yeah.
connect.
Untangle it, Joe.
All right, it's very simple. Zero, one Kiwami or Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2, 3 remastered, 4 remastered, 5 remastered, 6 The Song of Life, uh, Judgment, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Lost Judgment, uh, Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name,
Oh,
Like a
so it's the
Dragon
same
Infinite Wealth.
game.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Hmm.
Infinite Wealth and then Like a Dragon Pirate
Pirate, yeah,
Yakuza in
yeah,
Hawaii.
the pirate one
Right.
from this year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what is that? 13 main entries, and you do have to count Judgment and Lost Judgment because you will see characters from the games overlapping with one another a little bit.
Mhm. Even though
So
they're more standalone, like they've sold those as like if you just kind of want to just play in this world without like
yeah,
the baggage, you can play those.
yeah,
So.
for sure. You can definitely play Judgment and Lost Judgment without the baggage of any of the Yakuza games and still really enjoy them because there is no overlap in those games with main characters from the Yakuza series. There are side character overlaps, and Gaiden, the man who erased his name, has an overlap with a main character from the Judgment series, but really just like a sub-story side quest thing. It's really quick. So,
Makes sense.
All
yeah.
right.
Does that help,
Ye-
Paul? Does that explain it to
Yeah,
you?
it actually does kind of explain it. Now, the next question will be, am I gonna have to really frickin' play through all of this series, or am I gonna be able to jump in somewhere else?
You can
But
jump in Like a Dragon. If you really want to, you can jump in at Like a Dragon in
and
it's
go
the
from
funny
there.
seventh
because I'm
entry.
totally that one person that's like, you wouldn't tell somebody to start on book 5 of a book series. Why would you expect that for a game series?
You're
But
right, and you
yeah,
shouldn't. I'm not telling you you should. You
yeah,
should definitely start with, well, I know
If I do, I
Rick
think
and I will
I
go to
will
battle over
power
this, but
through
I think
like
you should start with
Zero
Zero.
or Kiwami 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One day I'll decide.
The
Yeah.
the
But yeah,
thing that makes me conflicted on telling you to start with Kiwami is that it's two things. Kiwami is not as good as Zero in my opinion because Zero is a new game. It is a new game. Kiwami really is just a refresh. I mean, it's overhauled. It's a complete overhaul of the first game, but it has a lot of the artifacts of early PS2 writing and
Design.
storytelling in their design choices exactly. Unlike Zero, which was built on PS3 and has a better feeling. But the other thing about Kiwami, and this is really funny, and I may have mentioned this on here before, but I give a shout out to Snowiest Angaman, who is a Yakuza YouTuber and
Mm-hmm.
an Australian guy, and he's great. Uh, he points out that there are basically no tutorials in Kiwami. Kiwami assumes you have played Zero and doesn't really teach you anything about how to play the game.
Oh
It's very
no.
interesting. I
well,
never
that's
noticed that
probably
because
gonna
I
make
went from
me
Zero to
decide right
Kiwami.
there because I don't know how to play the games really.
Yeah.
It's like so you've got stances, like you've got three different fighting styles and you unlock a fourth one eventually. So like it doesn't explain how any of that works to you. It just assumes you know what each of those stances do and how it goes and
Um,
Zero
eh,
is the place to start in my opinion. And I know Rick will challenge me on that and he'll probably comment in our Discord chat when he hears this saying you're
Yes.
wrong, but it's
And
okay.
the thing is that because the same conversation we had with the Metal Gear thing, but it's
Yeah,
like Sierra was what got a lot of people into the series, not
it is
Kiwami.
for sure. It got
It's
me. It
like
got me into it.
exactly. So it's like that's what
Yeah.
like I understand the purity of. It's kind of like us, like me and Paul. I would recommend how would we start someone with Star Wars? You start with the original trilogy and then do the prequels. We don't like people to start from the prequels and go like in order, even though it's like an order. So it's like at the same time when you have that many series at the time, it was like they were not fully available. So it
Yeah.
was like that was their bet to try to get people in, and I know a lot of people still think Yakuza Zero is the best one out of all
It's
of
great.
those. So
Zero is really a great game.
yeah.
I very much am enjoying Infinite Wealth though.
Mhm.
I like there's just so many things in it. I mean, it's all stuff that people have talked about before. It's nothing new to say that there's like the Sujimon League where you're
Mhm.
basically doing like a mini Pokemon game, and then there's Pokemon Snap called
Mhm.
Sicko Snap, and I haven't even gotten to the Animal Crossing game yet, and I'm 25 hours in, and I think that's like 50 hours worth of content. There is so much to do in this game, and it's all just fleshed out enough so that it's interesting, but I don't think it's ever gonna really feel overwhelming, which
Yeah.
is a nice
Are you
part
gonna
of it.
platinum it? Because it's
Oh, yeah.
really content packed. So you're gonna
It it is
you may be here for a
so
while.
it is content packed. It is a long game, but it's an easy platinum. It's an easy platinum. It's on and Power Picks. It's only a 2 out of 10. It's
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah.
it's a length platinum instead of a challenge platinum
Mhm.
because they don't. Okay, so this is a JRPG, and so they have personality, which is like kindness and charisma and
Mhm.
passion and all of those things. And where there's normally a completion list that you do that gives you, points to do this or that, or there's a whole list of things that you need to do, and that completing that is usually an achievement or a trophy. That is not a trophy in the Like a Dragon or the Infinite Wealth series, like the turn-based games. They are ways that list exists, but those are just ways to get bonus points towards your
Mhm.
personality stats, and you don't have to 100% that list to get the platinum trophy in Infinite Wealth. And you didn't need it in Like a Dragon either, which is why I
Mhm.
got the platinum in Like a Dragon at the time because I had not started going through my journey of trying the actual challenging platinums yet. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it is a long platinum. It'll probably take 100 hours or so or
Yeah.
120 hours, but
I
it's
just love that
not.
every time we say we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, we
That's
are always wrong.
that's
The last thing I'll say
or
that is that it's a long platinum, but it's not a hard platinum. So I'll do it. I will have to obviously intersperse things in there if it takes me into August for Mafia and whatnot, but I'm not super worried.
yeah.
And
Paul,
that's all I have to say on
mhm.
Infinite Wealth. Great
Let's do your
game.
two
Play it.
games. Yeah, let's do your two games before we talk our shared one.
Yes. So first off, I'm gonna jump in to say I started replaying Jedi Survivor because they gave it away on PlayStation Plus Extra, I
Mm-hmm.
think,
Yeah, extra.
Yeah.
and that game broken, unfortunately.
Wait, what did you play it on first?
Oh, I played it on PS5 both times, but I played it on my alternate account.
Oh, I see.
And this time I could finally play it on my main one, which for some reason to me means something different.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I didn't
Sure.
have any of like the deluxe edition stuff and extra outfits and things, so that was a little bit of a shame, but I powered through. And it was like a good, like really strong opening number, and I love just so much about the characters. I love the world. I hate Kobo so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
For reference, Joe,
and
that's the planet that you're stuck on. Like
it's
a
like
lot of the
a
game is
Oh.
in one
for a
planet.
Star Wars game where you kind of like planet hop, and just about every other Star Wars game, they were like, wait, what if we spent like 80% of our time on one planet? And then you would go off to do like missions on the other ones, but then we gave you less planets than you had in the first one. So
Hmm.
that's why sometimes we get a little frustrated about it. But anyway,
Mhm.
overall, it's still a fantastic game. I can't believe how much they packed into that with the five styles and how
Mhm.
fun all of that is.
Did you
Which
refinish it? Did you finish it again?
Oh no, I didn't get nearly
Oh.
enough to finish it, but it started chugging on me going through Kobo again on my
Mhm.
like second return, as the video I showed you also showed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and after a while, I was just like, I really don't want to cross Southern California again. So I'm just gonna go play something
It
else.
looks like Southern California. It's
It
like a
does.
very deserty
Um,
area, and it's
Oh,
Speaking of
that's
just
which,
funny.
I didn't mention it, but I also went back to Star Wars Outlaws briefly, and I
Mhm.
did not like that DLC, the first one where you're on the ship and it's like Casino Royale.
Oh, you didn't like
Because the
the.
whole thing just, I felt like I was being funneled to like have little conversations and do all the
It's
subterfuge
very
stuff.
linear for sure.
It's
Yeah.
very linear, but it like isn't specific about like where you need to go sometimes for certain things. So you're just running from hallway to hallway, like hitting everything like a point and click adventure game from the 90s, until you finally like open the right door and you go into the thing and it's like, all right, let's go talk to this person again. I was like, no, I just want to get into a shootout. Come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of done with that after a while. Then I went back to Helldivers 2, just about the pure opposite, where you're just
Mhm.
going in and all the shooty goes on. I'm just loving all of the new weapons, all of the new stuff that they announced. I can't believe their system works so well, where you literally just have to play the game and you get the currency to unlock the paid stuff, and you get the stuff to unlock the actual items. Even if you pay real money, you
Mhm.
can't just unlock everything with real money. You have to play the game
Mhm.
to actually get it. And the fact that you can just load up with SOS beacons to just help people for one mission, you could just dive right into it with one press of a button. It is so easy to just have fun over and over again. And all of the options and stratagems they've got is just great. And the
Yeah.
weapon customization there. I forgot
Mhm.
to mention that
Yeah,
part.
it's so good that one time that
It
we played. I
it
was
can
like,
change just
yes.
about every gun that there is in the game. It makes me so happy, and I would still be playing it if I wasn't playing the game that we're about to talk about.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but that's probably about it for that. Alejandro, do you want to jump in first for our
Yes.
talk? How do you want to structure
Yeah,
it?
just really quick, like with the other games, just to kind of get them out of the
Oh
way
yeah,
because
because
it's
you've
like
got yours. That's right.
yes, and then we just kind of like talk about it. So it's like because I'm visiting my uncle, I got to meet my one of my cousins for the first time, my cousin Isabel, and she is a big gamer, and she what I brought my PlayStation with me, and then she was kind of like we were just kind of talking games, and then she was kind of like spitballing games that she has wanted to play but she couldn't because she only owned the Switch, and then she mentioned Final Fantasy VII Remix. I was like, I have it, and I was backseating watching her play. It was like delightful. Then we are talking about horror stuff, and then she was kind of telling me how she is like a very on and off with horror games because she loved horror movies, but games like she felt like nervous. And I was like, would you be nervous if I was like next to you and you could be like that? I was like,
Hmm.
would you like to play Silent Hill 2? And then she's like, yeah, let's try it. Because she had played the original Silent Hill 2 from PS2 way back then. So she remembered that, but she didn't see the remake. So she was also playing that. So I was back seeing her. Like it's funny because I only played like 2 hours of that game, and that was one of those that I wanted to play by the time that it was Halloween. And then we got to Halloween. I was like, no, this is too scary for Halloween. I'm out. And then I never really went back to it. And so with her, we started advancing more. Like that game can be really creepy, really, really, really creepy. Like even just backseating, as I got startled. And there's like this, and we're like here. I'm recording here in the big, in their big entertainment room. It has like an 80-inch screen TV right in front of me here.
Ooh.
So it's like a massive, like the massive screen, like you're getting jumped by the mannequins. Paul's favorites. It's like it was like I was playing at
Terrifying.
11 or 12 at night and she's screaming. It was like just a fun little thing having a cousin that loves games like you do. It's like it's been just a wonderful time. But most of my gaming time has been like taken by Death Stranding 2 on the beach that came out officially 2 days ago with the early access. That today when we're recording is the official like base version like release of the game. So Paul, I want to start. You should start with what do you think of Death Stranding 2? However
Well,
you want to tackle it.
I'm gonna actually let it ramp up because at
Hmm.
first in the opening hours I was not I was enjoying it, but I
Hmm.
wasn't considering it to be like top five or anything.
Hmm.
Because it's once again just really great presentation. The pacing was a lot better, but I wasn't feeling the emotional through line the same way
Hmm.
outside of I mean, the trailers immediately spoil how the happy situation you're in at the start of the game gets pretty much immediately ruined.
Hmm.
I have not seen
So
any of it, so I would not be spoiled by
right, but
that.
that's where, yeah, at least for anybody that has, even back to like the original reveal trailer, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
that
time out. Joe,
what
didn't you watch the Game Awards in 2022? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, then you probably saw the beginning of this
yeah.
game because that's when the game
So
was
it's
revealed.
All
literally
I
like
know is all I saw is that scene where there's the electric guitar man and a puppet. Like that's basically all I know about the game.
that's
And then
all you
obviously,
remember at least. But
Yes.
the
Hmm.
yeah.
everything before that point was like
Oh, I don't.
extreme spoilers for like the opening 30 minutes or so. But
So
Hmm.
how far are
anyway,
you guys in? How far are you in, Paul? Before you keep
I
going, I
am
want to know.
now let's say about like 10 hours roughly.
Hmm.
I'm in episode 7.
Oh wow,
Um
I'm
the
still in
okay, so
episode
to
three.
clarify,
Yeah.
there's a couple of them that move very quickly and through the
Hmm.
course of one mission. Like in the first game when you go to World War I, that's an entire chapter.
Hmm.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
like you can play through a small segment and then suddenly you're like, "Oh, I'm 2 chapters ahead than I was like
Hmm.
45 minutes ago."
I
That's
see.
Hmm.
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay. And
But
Alex, how
then
far are
some of
you?
them will go really for a long time.
What
Anyway,
do you say, Joe?
Just how far are you? How many hours in are you?
I'm in chapter 3, but I'm literally doing everything. So it's
So
like
but
I'm
how many hours? I just want an hour count though, if you.
frick 7, 8 because I just
Okay.
been going out too, so I haven't had the time to just
Okay.
kind of
So
like just list.
you're both within the same realm of time played. Just Paul's a bit farther than you in this in the
as
actual
far as the
chapter
story goes,
progression.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Sorry, Paul.
Hmm.
Continue. Now
No,
that we
you're
have that
good.
baseline.
So I would say one of the things that I had criticized about Death Stranding 1 was the lack of variety in your
Hmm.
options because the whole thing is you're delivering stuff. And what you really hope for is a lot of options to make delivering things more interesting after a while. And I felt like the pacing was so slow, they kind of drip fed you different improvements, and I didn't feel like they were enough to differentiate. They fixed that pretty much immediately in this,
Hmm.
where, like Alejandro and I have talked about, they give you a gun in the first mission. By the end of the first tutorial, you
Hmm.
have your first vehicle. I feel like it's a lot easier to fabricate tools and things for
Oh
you.
yeah,
I
easier.
felt like you were grinding to get like, oh, I gotta get a new car, time to go on like 1 or 2 deliveries to make sure that I can set that up. And now it's like that's chump change. You could just throw money at it or your resources at whatever you want. But now you've got so many more different things, and I feel like it's not a spoiler to talk about them, but I probably shouldn't just in case people don't want to know what you can do in the game. But I mean, it's
Mhm.
gameplay at this point. We got to
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
gameplay.
Hmm.
Is it poorly balanced in the economy that you're saying you can just spend resources
Oh
on
no,
things?
The
it's definitely
economy's
not.
so good.
There's
The economy.
so much more to buy and like use those resources on that it actually makes perfect sense that they let
Okay.
you do all of that
Hmm.
because there's a lot more. Like I'll go ahead and explain that in the first one, your big thing was having a highway that you build and then you
Hmm.
can drive across it and it doesn't burn your fuel while you do it, and it's so much faster. You cut through a lot of the issues of the previous and early game where
Hmm.
like one little delivery would take you 40 minutes or something and you could drive past it in 30 seconds by like the mid game.
Yeah.
It's a much larger kind of scope like that, and the same thing
Hmm.
with this. You get the highway pretty simply, but now there's a monorail system that you can slowly build up, which
Hmm.
is like you had one truck and that was a big deal. And this one, you have 6 cars worth of a monorail that you can build up, and you have to spend so many more resources to build up that monorail. But once you do, you can even see it passively, like going along
Hmm.
as you're driving, which I was so glad. I was so worried it was like, oh, it's just going to sit there till I use it. But
Paul,
what are you going
have
to
you
say?
gotten to use the mining system?
I have.
It's oh man, that's why I've lost so much time with it because you can kind of set up a mining system to get like all the resources going, and then if you set up the monorail, you can kind
Mm.
of like keep funneling these resources that you can use to kind of like build all kinds of equipment like almost automatically, and it's like super satisfying seeing all of that work because Paul didn't forgot to mention is that because just like the first game, what makes all this build so cool is that the fact that it's an interconnected online game where other players that you don't see, but you see remnants of things that they've left in the world or the things that they've interacted with. Like you can start building a road, another player may have like the resources that then they will start pumping their own
Built
resources, then
towards it.
suddenly it's already built, and then you have connect, and then you see those connections, and with
Yes,
all the
it's
expansion
not
like
as much a focus on building everything yourself and more of a contribute to the larger
mhm,
like grand
society.
scale of it all.
Hmm.
Yeah, the society, that's probably a better way to phrase it. So like it's other players, and it's framed as the idea of there's other porters in the world doing what you're doing and will contribute what they can to these resources that everybody gets to use. It's a
Hmm.
very like work together to build a bigger whole than you had before, and what you could do alone, which is a
So,
really cool collaborative thing.
Yeah, just
so how it may just be some sort of networking magic, but how do you know that you're gonna repeatedly see the road that you're investing into? Are you like permanently connected to a
hmm
specific
yeah,
Once you build it, it's there.
node?
hmm yeah,
Okay.
it remains
As
forever there.
far as who you see is pretty much random.
Yeah.
It's not like oh, I can't wait to see my buddies' stuff. You might see them because they're friends. There's a higher chance of seeing their stuff in your world,
Hmm.
but it's pretty rare because it's a lot more of the it's kind of like what Journey walked so this could run kind of an
Hmm.
extent,
Hmm.
where it's like the people that helped you along the way are always going to be people you didn't know existed.
Hmm.
Um, and that's kind of a big theme, and so it kind of comes back to uh, Joe Blow, was it Dark Squall X13
Hmm.
shows up with a motorcycle, or he left a motorcycle behind. It shows their name over it, and it's like, hey, you can use that.
Yeah.
But like, it's very funny to see a really weird gamer tag, but it's like in a
Yeah, I got a
collaborative
long.
way.
I got a long dong silver 69 that let me stare
Yep.
like right where I need it. I was like,
So
yeah.
so if you walk past an in progress building, a road or
Hmm.
something that's in progress, and
You
you
can
don't
pump.
contribute to it, and you walk on by,
Yep.
and then you come back, there's a chance that that road is not going to be there anymore because you didn't contribute to it.
It's
Actually,
just gonna. It's usually going to be completed, but it also follows along with your progression in the story.
mhm,
Excuse me. So, as you go through the story and you get further along in your progression of the country, and you go back to previous places, if you didn't finish stuff, most of the time, a lot of it's going to be completed. There's like individual things that can be placed wherever you want, but something like the highway has its set zone where that's going to be.
Got
There's like
it.
a kiosk that you have to go to, and it's the same place because the route is always the same
yeah,
there.
and kind of like the
Um,
goal, like in the first game, is that at first where you're going through some areas, you're not gonna see the structures because you're trying to connect everyone to the same network. That's kind of like what you do, and then once you have enabled that network, when you do like a delivery, when you step outside of when you did, suddenly you see the things that have already been built because you're already part of the network, and that sometimes instances you into a player that maybe was already halfway through the road, halfway through their generator or whatever. It's like it's
Hmm.
very it's always very random. Everyone's gonna have like a different experience based on how they've set it up. And even if you for some reason don't contribute to that road because you're probably saving your resources for something else or you're just not feeling it, there is a likely chance that another player does it for you and then suddenly it's there. You could kind of take that gamble. And I the game recommends you to at least contribute something because it operates on a like system. The more likes you get better stats, and the better stats you get, the better equipment that you can build and all that. So it kind of always funnels a sense of let's contribute for the
It's
betterment of
always
everyone.
worth it to give something
Hmm.
because then your name is a part of that contribution, and then everybody that
Mm,
uses your contributed item, you
Hmm.
get the likes for, which turns into actual stat boosts
Yes.
later on down the line. Because
And the
likes essentially are just EXP.
yeah, and the thing is that the game can also be played offline, and you can build all of this stuff yourself. Obviously, it's gonna take you much longer because then now it's you as a player. You have to find all these resources and put it in. I know there's some players that like playing it that way because it's like, oh yeah, it's just me building like this society back. So there's that way, but I highly recommend always trying to be online when you're doing because
Doesn't
that's
it
always
simulate some of the NPCs though? Like
yeah.
it'll create stuff to assist, but it's definitely not nearly as much as if you played online.
Yeah. It's like it's a game that's clearly like it's trying to push you for that connection.
mm.
It's all about it. Yeah. So you were gonna say?
And how do the like systems work? How, like, if you don't get likes, are you screwed?
You're
Yeah.
always going to get likes for doing anything in the story.
Hmm.
You are very heavily suggested to do anything, but
Hmm.
also anything will get you likes. And
Hmm.
sometimes there's a compounding effect where there are, I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. Say you build a ladder, you put that down for yourself. That ladder is still going to show up in other people's games. And when they use it, you get likes. And then
Hmm.
when
Even if
you
they don't actually like it manually, there's no like you
correct,
don't have to
by
manually like
using
something.
it, it will give likes to you.
Hmm.
However,
Okay,
you can
good.
boost that as a player by hitting a button that is a like button to like really, oh man, this really helped me out. I'm going to hit this button, and then it sends those likes to the person.
Got
Um,
it. Okay. Well, that's
yeah,
good because my concern would be, jerks, people who
Yeah.
don't like things.
it is
Yeah.
so very specifically to built to avoid any sort of concept of griefing. Like
Yeah.
there is no negative capabilities in the game, and there is no way to like if you destroy a structure or whatever, it only is going to destroy it in your world
Hmm.
because that's a separate thing. There's only enough bandwidth for certain creations, so sometimes it's actually beneficial to like destroy stuff you don't need to like keep building the stuff you do. But at the same time it's not going to touch anybody else's structure of that. It's
Yeah.
very
Right. So
specific.
if I climb a ladder, if I put a ladder down, I climb it up, and then I want to come back down that ladder in 20
Mhm.
minutes, no one's gonna have like removed that
Nope.
ladder on
Nope.
me.
It remains
Right.
there because you put
But
it
the
there.
ladder could like the whole concept of the game and the decaying rain or whatever, like the ladder could die or on its
Very
own.
slowly,
Very
but
slowly.
Okay.
Yeah.
it is a very like you'll start to see some rust on it after a while, but for small things you're not intended to like go back and replace it or repair it.
Hmm.
There's not really a way to do those. It's really more of a focus on your delivery items. You can repair that.
Hmm.
There's ways to restore certain things with that, and the vehicles you can restore them in like a garage. But
Hmm.
the constructed items, I think it's actually part of the game for it to slowly decay, and
Hmm.
then it kind of like keeps things interesting because then it's like, oh shoot, that bridge broke, now you got to
Yeah.
build another one. But by that point you've got so many resources, you can just kind of chump change, throw a bridge
Hmm.
across there, and you're like, hey, that's part of me now. I made that, so now I'm going to get more likes. So it's kind of like this it's the mafia boss
Hmm.
growth thing, like from all those YouTube videos.
Hmm.
By the time that it's a problem, you've got so much money and resources that you could just do whatever, and that's part of
Hmm.
the fun as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Got
keep
it.
in mind, Joe, like this is like moment-to-moment gameplay that also kind of serves a major narrative purpose. There's always story happening. So it's like this is not just something that's just happening just for
Right.
the fun of it. Even though there's people that just play the game because they just enjoy that kind of like building like delivery loop that makes games like the America's Truck Simulator, things like that, those pretty chill
the
games
mud
where you're taking
runners.
things is like there's like the most elaborate fully featured one of those kinds of games, but on top of that like the layers on top of things gives it a lot of meaning that makes it more compelling than usually that kind of game. And the thing
Hmm.
I'll say that the thing that I'm most impressed with this trending too is the fact that it stayed true to what made the first game special, that took a while for a lot of people to really realize something because you maybe remember like what the reception originally was of the original PS4 version of Death Stranding back in 2019. Obviously, it was a very weird kind of game. It's like so many people didn't understand it. The review reception of that game was like very mixed. You got like your high praises. You even had like a place like called Steve Ivor give it a 3 out of 5 and call it an irredeemable piece of garbage. Like they literally called that in the review. And after the pandemic hit, a lot of what the game was dealing with thematically, like what the plot was so immediately resonant a few months after when the pandemic locked us all in. It's literally like the Death Stranding is a event horizon that sent everyone underground, basically, literally. And then like the only way for societies to keep functioning are these porters, which is one of you, like to kind of bring supplies from one place to another because that's like the only way that they can remain like
Right.
they can remain alive because it's like this unseen threat that it's kind of like violent. It's like all these ghosts called the BTs are kind of like
Yeah.
out there. So it's like it's better to just remain socially distanced. It was like this was literally in November 2019. COVID wasn't even a thing. So
Yeah.
after COVID hit and the director's cut on PS5 kind of like released, it made people kind of like connect with the game more. And I'm glad that when you play this, like a lot of that core is still there. What's interesting though is that it's very clear that Kojima also took feedback of the things that people didn't like about the original, like the fact that it takes many hours for a lot of the systems to kind of come together. It's like it takes like 3 to 5 hours before you start getting like tools to start building in the other one. Like early on, there's a lot of cutscenes, like extensive cutscenes that's trying to like explain all this different terminology that in the first game was just borderline nonsensical. What's so interesting about this one is that I hear a lot of this terminology, but I feel like it's boiled down in a way that now it makes sense. Like the nonsense actually feels like compelling. Like how I know that my uncle was watching me play. He never saw the first game, and he was very into it. I feel like at least it feels like now it's more conscious of trying to make sense of its nonsense. That it
Mhm.
doesn't feel like nonsense. It just feels like the terminology of a sci-fi game. You kind of just and then you kind of get it.
Right.
And also the game like has up the melodrama, like the way like how the acting goes and all of that. It's like if you like that kind of Japanese melodrama and all of that, it's kind of like it can compel you that way
Mhm.
because it's like very augmented. It's very Kojima-esque, kind of like he really likes cranking it up to 11. Like everything he does is like very obvious with his social commentary. Like there was one thing that absolutely stun locked me, considering something that happened over the last weekend and something that was as political commentary in this game that I was like, I cannot believe he got that thing in, considering the times that we're living
Mhm.
in, and that's just kind of trademark Kojima. He's the one that talked about what social media was gonna do to us back in 2001 when everyone said that that's just gibberish nonsense, and now we live in an era of echo chambers, fake narratives, fake news, and all that. He talked about all that stuff, just as spitballing it back then, and and he kind of has like a finger on the pulse of what's happening culturally, and there's so much of that game, of that in this game that I really like. And on top of that, this is a new Metal Gear Solid game. I cannot believe that I'm playing this game, and I feel like I'm playing the sequel to Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain that I never thought we were gonna get, and it feels like it's layered on top of the Death Stranding. It's like it's still at its core a game where you're like taking your packages, but it's like now the variety of how you can acquire those packages feels very Metal Gear Solid 5, like the sandbox nature of what you can do with the things that you can build, the new mechanics that are giving you, like the kind of like a core stealth mechanic that when you're moving around, slinking around, like taking on enemies, it's straight up out of Metal Gear. Like, like if you watch a video of MGS5 and watch a video of this game, you can really see like a through line. And to me, it's pretty impressive that he was able to get that in while still fitting with like what he set up in the world building of the original game, where you couldn't kill anyone in the original game because if you killed someone lethally, if you didn't dispose of that body, it will literally nuke the map. It will create something called a void out, and he now gives you a lot of weapons that are non-lethal. And it's like everything you get is like non-lethal, so you can have the freedom. Like if you're going like, yeah, you
Does
have
that
to go
still
to
happen if you kill them? Is it still lethal in like the
it's
nuke
that's still
map?
yeah that's still
There's
part of
not
like the world
Okay.
building, but it's way like you don't really get any tool to kill someone now, and for that to
technically
kind of
all of them can. There's a setting you have to switch on for the MP assault rifles and all that stuff.
Mhm.
It's called the murder setting.
Yes.
Pretty much, it like strengthens the power of it so that it kills instead of knocks people
It's
out.
like set phaser to lethal, set phaser to stun.
Pretty
in Star
much.
Trek, yeah.
And the bullets have like a certain color association based on that. But what I really appreciate that they gave you so many options for this, because it's very much like their very world, just the concept of a decomposing body will spawn this like unkillable ghost monster, and then if
Mhm.
it comes into contact with a living person,
It
which
nukes the place.
is completely invisible to most people, you cannot
Mhm.
sense it, you cannot see it, but if it comes into contact with you, it just a nuke goes off and it'll vaporize an entire city. And that's happened supposedly 6 times in this world. So people are like, I don't
Mhm.
care what it is, you're not allowed to kill anybody,
Mhm.
and if anybody dies, you need to immediately dispose of the body. It's
Is
like they
that, see, I was
don't
gonna
play
ask you
around.
what that applies when you die naturally too.
Funny
Yes.
enough, your main character is semi-immortal.
Yeah. It's part of,
Where
yeah, it's part of like the of the lore why he's a porter. He's kind of like has a contact with like all these ghosts that you see are kind of like just apparitions of the other side. Basically think Stranger Things.
the
These are all like
afterlife
ghosts
is
to the
now
afterlife.
living
Yeah.
next door to you,
Mhm.
essentially.
Interesting.
Anybody
Yeah.
that's
It is.
died is now one of those people. But if you die, you can come back. However, I think if you die in lore, if you die and a BT gets to you before your soul comes back to your body, that
Mhm.
also causes a void out.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't happen because the second you die, it
You
has your soul come
repatriate.
back
Mhm.
into your
Yeah.
body. But it's like a process, like when you die in World of Warcraft and your ghost has to go find your body. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that,
Mhm.
but it's like very truncated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Seems
called
very
repatriation.
convoluted.
Yeah.
It
It's
seems like it because you just keep adding little layers. The second you add like another question, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, Noel, now I gotta explain this concept to you. But
yeah.
ideally, it somehow all works together and makes a lot more sense once it makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So one
You
other
know.
question,
Mhm.
I was gonna
Go
say
for it.
one other question. Is his middle name Porter, or is that a title?
I think I add the same question. I'm pretty sure it's a title,
Yeah.
but
It's the
Bridges
title.
is
Yeah.
his adopted name.
Mhm.
Because his family is the Bridges family that
Right. That
also
that
was
part
the
I knew, but
president
I
and
knew
all
that
that.
part.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure Porter is just the name of the people,
Mhm.
and that's his title. And
Okay.
he kind of renounced his birth name
Mhm.
at the start, before the start of the first
Yeah,
game.
and
I see.
realizing who he is kind of like a big revelation at the end of
It
the first
actually
game that
is, right?
adds a lot of. It makes the ending of Death Stranding so incredibly emotionally powerful,
Hmm.
and that kind of carries into the beginning of the game, but also into something that kind of like has left Paul right now a little cold because we're waiting to see like where they're taking the story. In regards to that, I kind of see where they're going for, but it's also just much grander, like bigger cast of characters, like more like you're not in America anymore. You start in Mexico, you go to Australia. How do you go to like those two continents and
Oh, cool.
explaining like what happened to the rest of the world? Like, it's like all of this, like it's Kojima really like went in and was like, I'm gonna
So
build
much
up this
more
world.
world building going
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Hmm.
and
Very cool.
yeah, and the acting is even because there was like the first game felt a little overacted because it was like so trying to establish everything. It's like feels the acting feels more confident. The story it tries to tell it just feels like more infinitely compelling because there's just much more of it, and now you're not just like getting lost in the sauce. Basically, they added Final Fantasy 16 style like active time lore. So every
Oh,
time that
wow.
yeah,
That's
every time
good. That was a great feature.
Yeah.
oh yes, it's so good in this one because every time you hear a new character say a word terminology, automatically pops for you to read what it is, and they explain it to you in a way that to me makes sense. Like I was like, okay,
Although I appreciate even in their opening title, like dialogue sequence,
hmm
the Star Wars crawl, they explain like one line is a thing that happened, and then like the very succinct terminology word that summarizes that is like, and then BTs connected with a person, and it caused an explosion that wiped out a whole thing, is
hmm
blah blah blah, and then it says avoid out, and then it like continued on. So like 5 lines, you suddenly like have so much more context, say if
hmm
you skip the first game or something.
And
which so
and
many
something
people
that I
do.
really appreciate too, like whenever you're doing deliveries now, because that's where you meet the different cast of characters, different societies. You only meet like a representative that holograms itself as they pick your packages. There's dialogue choices now for you to like learn more if you want, or if you just want to skip ahead. Like before, like those basically the information you get in those four dialogue choices. Sometimes you would get all of that at once in the first game. Sometimes it could be like, okay, just you're japping too much. Just stop yapping. I want to get another order in. Like just saying that now it kind of gives you the option to get the wordiness that you would get out of like a Kojima game that he loves. Like he just loves.
Right.
He's very Tarantino in that like he just loves he just loves his dialogue. And it's funny that I mentioned Tarantino too because he also has a particular fetish. Paul knows what.
Yep. But man, I tell you, I like I was saying it in our group, I don't know how Kojima can get away with like the sense of innocence that he has,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't feel like he's going to go back and use all of these body scans for weird nefarious purposes. But I just take one look in Tarantino and I know that man is
Mm-hmm.
going wild every
Oh yeah.
night to every piece of data mined footage he's got.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever interact with the physical people in the game, or is it always just the
You
holograms?
do now. No, you do now. You do now. There's more like
Okay.
physical people you interact with. Do you have like a little base too? That's where like the rest of the team is. That's where you see eventually you
That's
see Elle
cool.
Fanning's character. Some of the ones that they had been showing like in all these trailers, they're there now. You can have conversations with them because before it was just you and holograms of others. Besides Leah Sedu's character, that she was presently with you, like in the other game. The stop motion puppet is the equivalent of Mimir from from God of
God of War.
War, and it's so the stop motion puppet makes sense. They found a way to like explain he found a way. he literally like he literally did it. It was so it's like it's
Speaking of which, Alejandro, you didn't get to go to this point yet. There's an optional cutscene where essentially George Miller's character practically looks at the camera and says the words "Phantom Pain."
no
Um,
way.
he technically like he's kind of turning because as we've seen in the trailers, he's missing a hand, and
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh yeah, I lost his hand doing blah 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 blah." And it's not important, you'll know in the game.
Hmm.
And he's like, "So every once in a while, I feel a phantom pain." It like pauses for a second.
Yes, and
Uh,
stirs like
there's, I
it's
love it,
Kojima
man.
loves breaking the fourth wall. He really loves, but does it in a way that doesn't feel like it breaks the reality of where he's at. He just he just has something in his games that people thought that the longer we go and the less games we get from him or the further like that he's probably lost losing his touch. But I feel like he's still like in tune of like what makes his games special even more so than ever. It's just the fact that
Mhm.
he's delivered a Death Stranding sequel that listened to like the pain points of the original game but maintained the core, went back to his Metal Gear roots, layered that on top of this game in a way that didn't undermine what made the original game special for those that clicked. Like sanded off a lot of pain points for it to just become like a very in-depth game that just becomes endlessly addicting when you really get into that loop. It's like you know how you hear that Kojima loves the cutscenes are so long. It's like movies that you play. When you play like
Yeah,
his
and the
last few,
trailers too. The trailers are like
yeah,
movies, basically.
exactly. It's just like and their his trailers are very specific, but it's like people underplay how in depth his gameplay really is. Like how
Mm.
much there is that
I think
for
that's
you to
where,
uncover.
and it's such a deceptive thing because so many people think, "Oh, this game is boring,"
Hmm.
but that's because it's not clear how deep certain things are,
Hmm.
where you can do, I mean, it's the gameplay clip that Alejandro has that we'll have to share to this group just to
Hmm.
kind of point it out. But the amount of, for a man who can deliver things, he has a double foot flying kick. He has his regular punches. If you're holding a
Hmm.
piece of a package in your hand, when you can swing with that, you can also, while you're holding
Throw
it,
them, throw it
swing
to their
and then
face.
let go with the trigger, and you will throw the package at an enemy. So that's already a lot of tech right there. You can also parry You can
Mhm.
dodge depending on the like mechanical legs you're using in this game. It's either like a quick step Bloodborne style hop. You can dive roll. You can slide. I think there's just so many different weaponry that you can use within that. Of course, grenades and things.
Mhm.
You can go flying in like you are the Terminator. You can be
Yeah.
diving through like Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
Now,
so funny.
Paul,
Yeah.
I need to ask though, is there a reason to do all of that? Does it encourage you to do that, or are you
in
like, is there any, or should I just,
in the
am I just
first
as capable to
game,
walk around and just deliver
uh,
packages?
y- no. In the first game, you have to go through regions where there are angry and aggressive NPCs that will come after you. In the story, it's that they want your gear. They will not kill you, and they run at you with like stun items usually.
Mhm.
Later on, there's like actual terrorist organizations that are like, hey, we want to kill people. We want to cause another like end of the
Boom.
world and
Mhm.
whatever. In the second game, it's even more so that there's just roving bands of these crazy people essentially that want to steal everybody's gear, and you have to go through it. Some missions have you go in to steal something back that they took.
Mhm.
I'm just playing through a mission where there's somebody took a hostage, so I have to get in, take the people out, or sneak through and extract the hostage as well.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
they in the second game they added a lot of variety involving that, but in the first game it was a lot of like, hey, well, I lost this thing. It's probably with the mules. That's what they call them, and you
Mhm.
have to go in and you take it out. However you do it, that's up to you, and that's the Phantom Pain part of it. In this one, there's a lot more going on.
Oh,
And I just, what I'm asking really is like, is there a reason to go fancy? Do you get any
yeah.
perks for going
Yes, now you
fancy?
do. You couldn't in
Okay.
the first game because now there's like an upgrade system that's very Elder Scrollsy that it kind of like
Okay.
depending on the playstyle that you
Like
get,
based on what you use, you
like
get
you're
upgrades.
rewarded on that
Okay.
and
See,
build
now
your stats.
that's helpful. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good
I didn't know what
information to
you were
have. Yeah.
really asking there.
No,
Mhm.
that's okay. That was my fault. I should have phrased it
Yes.
better.
Mhm.
But yeah, the first one there absolutely was, and that's why a lot of people didn't acknowledge it or
Mhm.
move forward with that concept. So they were just
Uh-huh.
like, all I can do is punch and then I can shoot things. And it's like, no, you could do so much more. You just never tried.
Mhm.
Um, and it's like in there, you just have to work at it. But this one, it's much more like there's reasons to do it. And then as you do it, you get more stats abilities. Like you pack yourself up with a crap ton of gear, it's
Mhm.
going to build up your strength. And if you're diving around and using certain guns, you're going to get better with those guns. And like there's less sway and blah, blah, blah. And
Hmm.
also doing the deliveries, you get upgrades to those guns, which adds passives and extra abilities. There's one that you get like it'll attach a grenade launcher to your gun and
Mhm.
all sorts of things.
Or you
Yeah.
can even surf on your gear now. Like if you're going down a slope, you can put like the thing and go that
Technically, you
it
could
like
in the first one too, but
yeah, but
that's one thing that people didn't really mess with as much. But now there's a passive that says when you do this, it's more maneuverable, and I'm sure
mhm.
that's going to be a lot of people's first moments of I didn't know you could do that,
Mhm.
because it's essentially this little hovering cart that follows you behind that you put gear on. But if you take all the gear off and you walk up to it, it says get on or like get get on top of, ride or whatever, and then you start sliding like you're on a skateboard, and you
Mhm.
can actually do that at the height of a mountain if you want, very like Breath of the Wild shield surfing, and
Mhm.
you could do it. But boy, is it really dangerous, and if you hit something, you will go soaring, and all of your stuff is going to go everywhere.
Are there skateboards? Are there actual skateboards in the game?
Not no, it's that was what it was. That's one of the things that I had complained about in
Hmm.
the first game.
Mhm.
But they may have added something that I didn't want to spoil to Alejandro, but
Yeah, because there was a
there's
trailer that I didn't watch today, but Paul saw
uh
it.
they added a couple of things between like quality
Cool.
of life for the trucks, where back in the day you had to stop, you had to get out and collect anything that was around. Now there's a sticky cannon that will automatically target things that are on the ground nearby, and it'll just snatch up random packages or different things, that resources and whatnot. And then similar to that, there's another new way to get around that I
Hmm.
thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's just so much fun to play now. That's what's so
Good.
interesting. Is like the
That's
first
good.
game had clunk in it that eventually kind of like when taken into the idea that it's supposed to feel arduous because it's like being able to like overcome this mountain to be able to deliver this package was always like its own reward. It's like a lot of that is still there, but like from moment to moment, it just feels so much better. Like to handle all this, like the clutter of menus of the first game feels like more streamlined. And the other way, it's like you
Hmm.
have to go from menu after menu after menu, hold the button to go from like one side of the other. And if you like numbers and kind of like S ranking things and all that, it was always satisfying that way. But it was just a ton of things, and now things are just it gets you to the point quicker, but it never loses what made it interesting in the like in the first place. So
That's good.
yeah, it's like I'm super like I'm right now very enamored with it. I definitely want to see where they take the stories because I've seen all the trailers. Like with me and Paul have like our personal DM where I've been like spitballing theory of something that was shown and things that we saw in the early hours, and I'm like, wait, it's very this choice was pretty interesting and things like that, and I want to see like
Hmm.
where they take it. Like I know people say that the ending of this game is pretty special, and I kind of want to see what that is, but also at the same time, I don't want to rush because it feels really good to just soak it all in. I really love like just being able to do everything. There was like this stealth mission like at a mountain where there was like plenty of BTs, and that's how I got my sniper. And I really love just like slicking around because now like there's some you still like have to like evade some ghosts, but there's less of them. They just kind of become bigger and more visible, and they feel like something straight out of Metal Gear, trying to like dodge them around and kind of like play around with the mechanics of it. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I never thought I would feel this feelings again because it's been that long since we've had a Metal Gear. It's been 10 years literally
Right.
since the Phantom Pain. So like
Well,
can't wait.
there was that Metal Gear Survive. Don't forget, Metal Gear Survive
No,
Yeah,
exists, you know?
yeah,
we're not doing this.
yeah. So yeah, we're yeah we're ignoring because Kojima didn't make it. So
Is any character even voiced in that game? It's
yeah,
literally all of the NPCs from the
uh,
mother base.
yeah, it's
Ah, goodness
I
gracious.
yeah.
honestly have no idea. I just remember it came out and everyone hated it and it made me laugh. That's
Hmm.
all.
Yeah, it
It
was because it was
definitely.
not from Kojima. It was like it was finally like the first time that Konami like held the husk of Metal Gear outside of like his creator. Like, if any, like Kojima always like every game that he makes sure you know he made it. So it's like that's what made Survive kind of gross. Even though I know some people that like a lot of the systems that are in that game. Like, funny enough, because a lot of the Kojima Productions teams still remain at
Yeah.
Konami before they went over to with Kojima to the independent Kojima Productions. So it's like there's a lot of talent in the team and incredibly beautiful game. This like that's something like if you thought Horizon Forbidden West was beautiful, oh man, this is like next level. It's like
I've
it's
never seen a game more perfect
yes,
visually.
yes,
It,
literally. It's like it's so perfect visually.
and
Like
that's as
it's
somebody that's kind of stopped caring or liking photorealistic graphics.
yeah.
I
This
need that clear. I don't actually like them.
yeah, and I'm not even kidding. If this feels like finally a game that justifies a PS5, right, Paul? Like it feels kind of like one of those that
The
very late
joke
we
is
finally
like,
got it.
man, I can't believe Kojima finally made the first PS5 game
Yeah.
in 2025.
Yeah, it's like
Man.
I know that's like hyperbole because obviously Horizon's there, and not to take away from Forbidden West is a beautiful game, but it's like I just feel as an exclusive what he's able to. I'm playing it on the base. I've heard like I saw the PS5 Pro version at a massive theater at SGF, and that thing was insane to look at. And watching it like what they're doing with base PS5 is like he's always
Hmm.
been at the forefront of technology, and that's still like his technical chops are all over this thing. It's like it's such a finely tuned, well like polished game that is like loving it. I'm loving it so much that can't sit.
That's great.
Yeah, can't wait to play more. And I'm just glad that it's also like this feels like Assassin's Creed 2 to Assassin's Creed 1 kind of leap. It's very rare for us to get a sequel leap
Good example.
this big because like everything's so iterative now and it takes like forever. But this feels like something that you. I was just playing the first game before the second one. It's like I was still trying to finish that replay. It's just a very long game, but I immediately felt I was like, oh yeah, you can really feel it. It's like it's a very obviously improved sequel. You don't have to be
Hmm.
spitballing. This is not a Spider-Man 2 situation where there was a step back. In the face.
Hmm.
Everything in this was a step forward. So that's all I have to say right now. Like, can't wait to talk about more like, next time we record.
That's well, thank you guys. I really appreciate discussion on Death Stranding 2.
We
I have
appreciate
never
somebody
played.
grilling us and keeping us focused because otherwise it would be like, man, wasn't
Mhm.
this so cool? Man, what about this thing? Wasn't that
Yeah.
awesome?
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean that's the host's job, right? That's
Yes.
what I do. I keep things
Yes.
moving
Hmm.
correctly here. So no, I really appreciate you guys talking about it. I have not played the first one. I didn't really have
Hmm.
any interest in it. I don't really have that much interest in the second one.
Hmm.
Maybe someday. There's just so many other things to play. I'm not like anti these games. I just
Hmm.
have too many
There's a
things that I
lot.
am pro.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
What is
know?
it, Paul?
Oh no, that's where I am with like Yakuza essentially. It's like I'm
Hmm.
Yeah,
not
and that's
against them, but
fair.
there's so much more to play that I can't
Hmm.
keep it
And
straight
that's the
through.
Yeah,
beauty of
I
where
mean,
we are. It's never dry. I'm just glad that uh, we finally got this kind of game. I've been like waiting for this kind of game for a
yeah.
bit. So.
All right, so let's move into the headlines here. Now,
Hmm.
as this show has been recording, there is a Capcom spotlight going on. I've
Hmm.
been trying to keep an eye on what's happening over there in the background, as
Hmm.
well as keep the show hosted and moving along. So I have a couple of
I've
notes
seen
from
exactly one thing, but I'll let you go first.
So I
yeah.
would
So
say,
there's a
Joe, keep it like keep watching and spitball, and we can do the other headlines just in case, so we don't have to kind of like keep doubling up. So we can do the other headlines first, and then we can
You want to do
circle
the others
back.
first? Yeah, sure. We
Yeah.
can we
Uh-huh.
can we can do the others first.
Hmm. All right.
So the first headline here then is Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, the titular amalgamation of the Western and Eastern titles of beloved Sony-owned, once PlayStation exclusive series, has announced a release date of September 5th, 2025. Excluding mobile titles, this marks the first time Everybody's Golf has been released off of the PlayStation platform. This
Nintendo.
entry, published by Bandai Namco, is the latest in a series of older, less prominent Sony-owned IP licensed to Bandai Namco for publishing, including on Nintendo Switch and PC, but notably excluding Xbox. As a result of this arrangement, Pac-Man will be automatically unlocked as a pre-order bonus for the latest entry, though the 7/8 pizza pie will still be unlockable by playing the game later.
Okay, so it's like, is it a pizza slice that actually like golfs? Is that what that means?
Yeah,
No,
because I've never played any of
I
that.
was making a joke about Pac-Man being a seventh
Oh,
eighth of a
God
pizza.
damn it, Joe! That joke completely went over my head. So it's
Because
like,
Pac-Man is 7/8 of a pizza, so I
mhm.
just, you know,
Yeah, damn it.
that's all.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's like another game in a very busy September. Hot Shots Golf is fun. It's like that's always been like a very no frills golf game, kind of like in the style of like Mario Golf and all of that.
Yeah,
Trying to
It's
remember if I even own one. I
I've never
think I
owned one
own it,
at all.
yeah.
but like it was made for the GameCube at one point, right?
Yes,
No,
yeah.
it's
Mario Golf was on
hot.
GameCube.
I
Oh,
think
Mario
my
Golf. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
brother
Yes.
owns both of the or owned both of those, and I think I have them, but I've never touched it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
Toadstool
weird
Tour, I think
phase of
was
our
was
gaming
called.
lives.
Yes. So yeah, next headline.
Next headline is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 coming to PS5 on August 12th, 2025. Will have a host of enhancements available to it, Xbox has confirmed, including a 60 FPS performance mode and some new game modes. Additionally, the developer has announced a PS5 optimized version of the original game Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice will be released alongside the sequel's PS5 release, and PS4 owners are entitled to upgrade for free. Man, Xbox sure loves giving away games, don't they?
Yeah, it's so funny because when they did the Series X enhancements of the first Hellblade, they excluded PlayStation. I was like, no, you're sticking with the PS4 version if you're like over there. Man, how the turntables or whatever how's the is that the Michael Scott, right? The meme,
How the
how
turntables?
the turntables is how
Yeah.
the but I'm curious because I know Rick in our chat made jokes like, did they finally patch the game, an actual game in this thing? Like, Hellblade 2 was such a big disappointment last year because it was a pretty game, but it was like a so tech demo. It was so obvious. Like, it was the kind of game you should have gotten at the launch of the system to just show the graphics, but there literally was no game there. It was so. I beat it like in an afternoon, and I remember feeling very appalled by how little there was in it and how long they took to make that game for it to be that like a less substantive game from the first game that I liked but didn't really love because it was like a felt padded in spots with its gameplay. But the new game was, they say that they're adding like a sort of permadeath mode. I'm like, it's like I did you retool the game because it wasn't that hard anyway? So, but
Well, yeah,
it,
they had like that. The new mode is something like dark rot mode, where
yes.
like like it's like building up in you or something
Yeah,
that
that
makes
was in the
you
original game.
spend
It's kind
more.
of like the game gaslighted you and saying that if you kept losing, it was gonna delete your save and restart you over. If like it'll let the
Yeah,
rot go over, and
I
people
don't think that
tested.
ever happened though,
No,
right?
no, it
Yeah,
was just gaslighting. He just gaslit you as like the game messing with your head and all that. So it put that little tension in it, and that helped that game because it made every combat encounter felt like I need to survive this. It's just kind of like some parts felt very long in the
They were
tooth.
just lying about that?
Yes, they
That's
were.
funny. I never knew that.
Yeah, and that was kind of the brilliance of like the mind effing that is happening in in that game because it's like it was all about like the mental voices. They recommend you playing in headphones because they specifically created voices that you only hear with headphones and they feel like
Schizophrenia just
yeah.
really hits different when you got the headphones
Yeah.
on.
So, and I feel like the second game was less impactful that way. I'm curious to hear, like, if you're on Xbox, you get all these enhancements for free, even the 60 FPS mode, and PS5, they're gonna have pro support. It's like I feel that game, the visuals are its best part. It's just that I like my games to be games too. So, so yeah.
yeah.
Next one.
PlayStation's president of global services, Nick McGuire, has confirmed in an interview with Stephen Totillo's GameFile that Sony actually likes to make money on the games it develops and has no plans to add its first-party games to its PS Plus subscription service on their release date, but remains committed to finding several independent titles per year to bring day and date to the service. Typically, these have been smaller titles, with Remedy's Firebreak, FBC Firebreak being a recent departure from that pattern. In other PS Plus news, Diablo 4 headlines PS Plus Essential included games this month alongside King of Fighters 15 and Jusant.
Yeah, King of Fighters 15 is a really good fighting game. So that's like for that
All
community, like
three of
giving
those
that.
are actually crazy good.
Yes.
Because I remember when Jusant came out, so
Hmm.
seeing that, if I didn't literally have the platforming game,
Uh-huh.
the AAA variety right now, I would
I know.
absolutely be playing
Yeah,
Jusant.
Jusant's really cool. I really
Um,
like Jusant. I have that on it was on Game Pass. That's where I played it. That was one of the first games I played when I bought my Series X in 2024. It's a really cool idea, like how you're doing like the climbing in that game. It's like a journey but climbing.
And
And
they have I didn't realize it at first, but I watched some gameplay and they've got the freaking Last of Us rope in there.
uh-huh.
So I was like, oh shoot, that's actually really cool where you get to like
Hmm.
real
Yes.
physics of like wrapping it around things and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
That's a
um
really good. That's a really solid PS Plus. And Diablo 4 being like giving for in essential. It's like it's to me again like just underlying how wild it is. Like 2 years ago when the acquisition was being finalized, I never would have expected that. It's like literally Microsoft
Yep.
giving one of their games at the base tier for everyone, not even like extra premium. It's like this is like
you
the
know, you
base
could
tier.
argue that that's actually the smartest marketing tactic
Oh yeah.
because that's literally the first one's free, and
Mm-hmm.
then like all of the expansions and stuff is how they're going to make their money. But then at the same time, you've got like Destiny 2 and stuff will give like a random expansion away
Mm-hmm.
for free and stuff. It's just as it stops being the most important thing, it's really cool that you see people giving away the old ones for free just to like get more people into the game. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's both pro consumer, excuse me, pro consumer, and it gets people in to like spend real money on the big stuff, you know?
Yeah. And Diablo has been like the expansion from last year wasn't kind of came and went. So it's like
Yeah.
it,
But
it
also, I'm
I
not
feel like
defeated
Diablo's
the
come
fact
and went
that
altogether. Like no one's
yes.
talking about it except
Mm-hmm.
Hogue.
that's the thing where
He
like
doesn't talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
its
Not even
core
him.
audience is
Right.
still, I think, there overall. And
Mm-hmm.
because it's such like a focused game, because I think it's like the max you can play with is 4, and you're not going to see
Mm-hmm.
really any other people outside of that, outside of like maybe the overworld. But your goal is to just go through the dungeons with your core 4 people or something.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's pretty easy to keep a good following for.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's just Vessel of Hatred didn't really hit well. Like it complicated stuff as an expansion. So at least for like the hardcore people that played it. And it blue balled a lot of people with like the story because at the end of the base Diablo 4 was like pretty enticing, knowing that it was like an ongoing thing that was gonna go and it felt like the expansion instead of getting further to that, it's kind of like, oh, it's almost like we're back where we started, kind of as a tease of that. When people thought that was gonna be the moment where we're gonna get like what we were teased on at the end of the base game, so that didn't land well. On top of like things that they changed systemically, so if they're still planning on supporting, they say they're still in on the long haul. Diablo 3 was like there for the long haul. Is like this is a good way to keep them in ties. It's still so funny being like they're giving it away like that when it was like they took forever for Diablo 4 to come to Game Pass. That was like one of the first big Activision games that Activision Blizzard games that made it to the service, and now it's like at the base tier of their competitors. So
Yeah, I am a little bit excited for it because I played Diablo 3. I got Diablo 3 for free
mm-hmm.
because I was a World of Warcraft subscriber and they introduced like an annual commitment to World of Warcraft. And if you committed to the annual commitment thing, you got Diablo 3 for free. So that was how I played Diablo 3.
That's so
And
funny.
I ended up buying the Reaper of Souls expansion that they did for it because I enjoyed Diablo 3. So that was cool.
Yes.
I've not
The
played
Reaper of
4.
Souls
I've
was
never played 1 or
excellent.
2.
Yeah, Reaper of Souls was like the savior of that game because if you remember the base Diablo 3, the auction house thing was like a big
I
cloud that
do. I
showered.
remember the Real Money Auction House very clearly.
Yeah,
I'm the Blizzard guy here. I've been to
I,
6 BlizzCons. Like
no, and
I've
you're a
been there.
gambler. You gamble with
I
money. I
am.
can imagine like you really took advantage of the
I
auction
did not
house.
at all. I never did anything with that because I didn't like the game that much. And I was also a kid. Like I was like 18. I didn't have money. I didn't have money to gamble with there. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's wild to think,
Yeah.
Paul, that Diablo 3 was 2012.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine ask about that. He was like, "Wait a minute, didn't Diablo just come out or Diablo 3?" And I was like, "Buddy, that was 2012. That was so
hmm
long ago."
Yes,
But
let's not do this.
Yeah.
Next headline.
Next headline, Rebel Wolves, the studio founded by former CD Projekt Red developers behind The Witcher 3, has unveiled a 20-minute gameplay demo of its upcoming choice-based third-person Western RPG, The Blood of Dawnwalker. The video details the various choices the player can make to alter missions and emphasizes you cannot do everything in a single game, so choose what and when carefully.
Yeah, great for replay
Uh,
value. It looked
I,
cool.
it looked really cool. I do have concerns about this game because I don't like the idea of not being able to complete everything
hmm
and having this time limit. Because the way that the game is structured, for those who don't know,
hmm
is everything you do, every quest you complete progresses time forward a little bit,
hmm
and you're on like a 30-day time limit. Like it's a really short time limit to get stuff done. So you have to be careful with those choices and doing things at different times of day or at different points in the story will impact how easy or difficult it is. So the example they gave in the demo was you had to go and like do this thing in a town, but because it was still early in the game and you hadn't like made people angry yet, you could just walk into the town. But if you had done this later in the game, they would be angry with you and you'd have to like sneak into the town to do it or you'd have to fight your way through. And I thought that was an interesting approach that like the story progressing and making people angry with you will have an impact on the overall approach that people's attitudes will have towards you and change how you can approach other missions, even if they're, side missions or main missions, whatever it happens to be. I thought that was a
hmm
really cool thing to do. It just drives me a little bit crazy that I'm like, I have to do these things. I want to get everything done because I do like to complete things. Aside from like the little question marks in there, I did everything in The Witcher in one go,
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's like it's funny for the people that are very OCD like you are, but I feel that's like an interesting way to like give the hard choice of where you're gonna be completing. And
Yeah.
me and Paul have a friend called Zach that he always asks why there was no vampire games, like an in-depth vampire, and this is one. So
Yeah.
this is gonna be an interesting one. And this is the director of The Witcher 3. He left CDPR,
Yeah.
created this studio, and this is his next game. Obviously, we know that it's hit or miss. It's a hit or miss, like a director going to a new place and doing a
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
Like obviously, we know of one game that someone very storied went, and you know what happened. But it's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So
Yeah.
I'm
Did you see the
interested. Like
trailer, Paul?
of what?
The
Blood of
Blood of
Dawnwalker.
Dawnwalker.
You know what? No, I didn't actually see the 20-minute thing.
Yeah, you should. I think you like Witcher 3 might find this one really interesting.
It's in our chat too. Alex
I
and I
saw
were
like
both
a
watching at the
short
same
thing
time.
Yeah.
at some point, and it looked really cool.
Mhm.
But I didn't see like the big preview showcase, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to see more of it. I think I'm in that stage of like, I know I'm gonna like this, so I'm gonna avoid it like the plague because I
Mhm.
don't want it to absorb part of my
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah.
I would say you'd be okay watching this one demo piece of it just to understand what it's like to actually play, and then you probably don't need to see
Hmm.
more of it
Yeah.
because I'm pretty sold on playing this game at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. That was me. That literally was me. I was like, okay, cool. It's like, it's what kind of what I heard was gonna be, especially after their trailer at the Xbox showcase looked really good. So seeing that, I'm like, I'm good now. Talk to me
Yeah.
when it's here. Next headline.
All right. Next headline is Sega accidentally leaks exact sales numbers for a handful of its video games, and VGC has the details here.
I got them. I'm gonna
So,
read them.
Yeah,
I
okay,
got
somebody
them.
great.
tell me why this matters and why I should care.
It's interesting because they're not that big, but they always praise their sales numbers. So like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, 1.66 million. Like a Dragon Demand Her Raise Their Name, 0.96 million. So it didn't even sell a million. Persona 3 Reload,
That
2.7
was on
million.
Game Pass. Don't forget that was
Yes.
on Game Pass.
Yes, and also Persona 3 Reload was also on Game Pass. Also sold 207 million. Sonic Superstars 2.43 million. Sonic Frontiers 4.57 million. Total War Warhammer 3 2.34 million. Shin Megami Tensei 5 including Vengeance 2.11 million. Yakuza Like a Dragon 2.86 million. Persona 5 Royal including remastered version 7.25 million, and that game's almost gonna be 10 years old this year, like getting close to the 10-year anniversary. Team Sonic Racing 3.50 million, and Total War 3 Kingdoms 3.21 million. As a
I
reminder,
own that game. I've not played it, but I own it.
yes, and as a reminder, Paul, Final Fantasy 16 sold 3 million in a week,
Hmm.
and that wasn't a success for Square Enix. So it puts it into perspective,
Square
it,
needs to be careful with its budgets.
yeah, because it's very clear that Sega's very judicious with their budgets, and they this 2 million comes after sometimes a full year, so it's not even like immediately. And a Final Fantasy game selling 3 million in a week, that wasn't good for Square Enix. It's you gotta do something, because it's you want to be like in Sega. That's why they keep doing all those games. Why Sega is healthy right now. It's
Yeah.
they don't need to be
They,
spending that much.
they make their games on such a small budget. They
Yeah,
just,
But that's good. Like you have
yeah.
to. If you make quality games,
oh
like I
yeah.
mean, there are
Mhm.
definitely like cut corners in even like Infinite Wealth has cut corners. Not everything is fully voiced and
Mhm.
the animations aren't always
Well, I mean,
top tier,
aren't they
but
like famous for cutting corners and cutting cost and then
they're
still
famous for
making a
Yeah.
reusing their
great
assets,
story?
Mhm.
but they
Yeah.
don't cut the costs in like the look and the quality of the game is not cut. It's just they're smart with their asset usage.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's why I know Kamurocho like the back of my hand, you know? Like I know how to get around that place.
Mhm. Yeah. It's been speaking of Square Enix, next headline.
Next headline. Speaking of Square Enix, as you said, Naoki Yoshida is hinting at a possible Switch 2 release for Final Fantasy 16 after stating that it's just Nintendo left, and confirmation of doing his best from game director Kazutoyo Miyahiro. If they manage to make 16 run without exploding everyone's brand new Switch 2s, they deserve a medal.
Yep, that would be something that I want to see them try. It was interesting seeing what they did with the Xbox Series X version of 16. It runs at 720p over there in the performance modes. It's like a very blurry game, but it runs perfectly at 60 compared to the PS5 version that doesn't. So it was interesting how they were able to tweak their engine for that system, and obviously because we know people don't buy things on Xbox, so it's like that thing had
Yeah.
a very low number. On Switch, they would definitely sell more, but I want to see how they make that work, because that game really for people that don't remember, around the launch, that game was overheating PS5s in some of the icon battles. If you had it
I
in your
believe
I
it.
console,
forgot about that.
you
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah.
So
Huh.
it was like the Bahamut 5 was like
Yeah.
frying, not frying, but it was like overheating the PS5 that were in enclosed areas. That's why you need to play that in like a wide
Yeah.
open for it to circulate. So that was never a problem for me. And on top of that, I play with air conditioning. But on the Switch, I'm interested. We know that remake is coming later this year alongside the Xbox release on Switch too. So I know they're committing to that, and they need
Yeah.
to make they need to make money in 16, since what it sold on PS5 wasn't enough for them. So
All
next
right,
headline.
I'm gonna lump the next two together because they're
Hmm.
similar topics. It is
Yes.
Xbox is rumored to be preparing for another round of layoffs, according to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, as a part of a quote-unquote reorganization throughout the company. While no specific number is known as of now, it could be as many as thousands, according to the
Hmm.
report. No jokes in this headline, just sadness.
An
And then
addendum for that one real quick, because more people are reporting it. It seems that there are going to be such big layoffs that they might even close studios. So,
I didn't
especially
hear
over in
that
the
part,
UK.
but
Especially
yeah.
over at the UK. So
Out here spending billions and then suddenly going, hey, we're actually going to shut all these down. I really didn't think it would be Xbox, of all people, finally the top of the food chain here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other part of this headline we'll say is Mind's Eye developer Build a Rocket Boy has suffered layoffs in the wake of their release of perfectly okay 32/28 Metacritic video game. The developer has confirmed. The rumors indicate that it will be at least 100 members given the 45-day mandatory consultation under UK law.
Yeah. Despite all the jokes,
it was a perfectly okay game. It's perfectly
for
okay.
you it was. For you
It's
it was.
fine.
You're entitled for your opinion. The
it's
consensus.
Not good. Don't buy it. It's okay.
Yeah, but jokes aside, to me that's so sad that it's like it's just very clear that they shouldn't have put that out as it was. Like at the moment when they were like, we have a roadmap to fix the game, I'm like, you really like released like your alpha build at this point. Like you had a roadmap of what would have made it complete, and now how are you gonna get there with like laying off so many of your team? Because as far as I understand, like that team isn't that big over at Build a Rocket Boy, and that's like that's really sad because I know that they were. Remember, Paul? It was like, and in a year they were gonna do the multiplayer game that was part of this everywhere thing that was gonna be like more complete.
Almost feels like that was the actual end goal for that game, and this was more like the teaser appetizer for it. Unfortunately, when you crash and burn that bad with the appetizer, they kind of want to fire you before you can get to course 5.
It's like when I went to an Indian restaurant and it came out with my samosas cold in the middle, and I'm like worried about how my lamb is going to be because the appetizer was a mess. Like I was worried. They were burnt on the outside and cold in the middle. I don't know how they did that.
Yes. But yeah, it's like it feels bad, especially because we know who was at the top of Mindside. Leslie Benzies is like
Leslie Benzies, I mean, to be fair, Leslie Benzies was a producer and he got a game out. You know, he got it out. It just wasn't ready.
Yeah, it just sucks that now his record now, like when people see that, because like it's literally like one of the lowest scoring games on Metacritic in years. It's like people then will go back to be like, so what did you do at Rockstar? Like because it's like despite the fact that we know because of him, Red Dead Redemption came out. Like
that's the thing. It's important to remember that producers are responsible for making sure that games move, that they get their deadlines hit, and that they make the hard calls. I mean, Mark Darrow talks about what producers do all the time on Mark Darrow on Games and his YouTube channel there, where he says, you know, he has a creative background and a programming background, but that wasn't what he did on Dragon Age. He made sure that the team got the resources they need, and maybe just I don't know why Benzies wasn't able to do it this time as the head of the studio, but his job was not in creative. His job was in production, getting it done. And there are producers who have creative roles. You know, it's not like they're not creative at all, of course.
And I think for this one, his title is game director, right? Like,
he was game director. Yep, he was. Yes.
Yeah. So makes it feel bad. Like it feels bad like knowing that because like you're always one project away for like sullying your reputation, and that's like and he was like a big game. It's like what he did to Red Dead is like that thing was in development hell for a while. That was like announced in 2004, 2005. So like that was back then when it was much quicker to make games. So,
all right, and we'll close out this episode here with one more headline really quickly. Humble Bundle, now owned by the not so humble IGN, has the bundle with Mafia 1, 2, and 3 in their respective definitive editions, as well as the BioShock trilogy and their respective remastered editions, on sale for $18, just in time for the August 8th, 2025 release of Mafia: The Old Country.
I'm so excited for Mafia.
I was really expecting this to be some kind of slam against the Humble Bundle, but that's actually a really good value for everything.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Humble Bundle has good deals. I just had to make a joke about them being owned by IGN.
Yeah, it sucks that they're owned by them.
I was expecting the punchline to be like they're offering a bundle for $58. I don't know.
No, this is a good deal. I like all of these games except for the 2 of each of these games. So you know,
I accept BioShock 2, but we've already talked about all that. But yeah, Mafia 2 is really frustrating at
it's the worst one. It's the worst one out of all those.
I hate that I love the characters in it though.
Yeah,
it is. They are good characters. I like Vito. I like Vito and Joe. Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, this is potential spoilers for Mafia 2 and 1, but remind me, during the process of Mafia 2, do you actually play the the ending of Mafia 1? You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
Yeah.
you do.
Mhm.
Okay, I could
You
not
100%
remember
do.
if that was something that was like, oh, they just threw that in because it's been
Nope.
that long since I played 2, and of course replaying it, I
Yeah,
gave
you
up
play
partway
it.
through.
Yeah, you,
Mhm.
you play it. Yep, you do.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Got
All right.
And we can circle quickly back to the Capcom thing
yeah.
since you added
Oh
more of
yeah,
like
that's right. Sorry, I
the
forgot.
peptides.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I mean, the last I have everything that I could get on there while watching and doing this here. So,
Mhm.
quick topics of what was shown at at Capcom's Spotlight, which happened while we were recording here. Pragmata was shown some gameplay and some new information. It's very puzzle
Mhm.
gameplay, wall fighting. You have to
Mhm.
actually do
I got
puzzles
to
to
play it.
unlock the
Mhm.
armor, right? And the demo is going to be at Gamescom. The
Mhm.
characters are Hugh and Diana. Diana's an android. Hugh is a little bit sarcastic.
Mhm.
There's a lunar base that's set on at lost contact with everything. Your goal is to get back to Earth. The base itself is deserted. There's only AI and like
Mhm.
nothing else around.
Yeah.
Other topics from the spotlight are Sagat comes to Street Fighter 6 on August 5th.
Mhm.
Otherworldly Adventures announced for Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, which is a free DLC for everyone who owns the game. There
Mhm.
was new footage and info on RE9. It was way too much for me to track while doing this
Mhm.
podcast, but
Yes.
I did catch the part where they said to go to the RE portal website for additional new footage and some new interviews with the team members. And finally, Monster Hunter Wilds second title update includes some new monsters, including Lagiacrus.
Laguerre.
Like Yakros, I think, or like
Yeah,
Okay.
Yakros.
Lagiacrus, which is an underwater monster, and you actually are fighting it underwater with sections that accent the hunt. You're not like
Mhm.
swinging your weapon under there or anything. That comes on June 30th, Monday,
Mhm.
and it has new systems and some other changes throughout there.
Yeah.
So that's what I caught while we were recording.
Yeah, and I feel that's pretty much all they said that was gonna be at the spotlight. So I think you got all of that.
Yep,
So
did my
obviously,
best.
yeah, I'm gonna like I haven't seen that. I'm gonna see, and I'll confirm you guys if that's like what they showed of Pragmata. If that was the demo that I played,
Okay,
what's like it what makes that game so cool is that in real time as you're aiming like against
it's like a
robots,
little puzzle
yeah,
box.
there's like a puzzle box where you have to kind of like complete it in the moment
Yeah.
that feels very similar to the Helldivers 2 like input command thing when you're like pressing
Oh,
it.
that's funny.
And when you complete one of those, it exposes the enemy, and that's kind of like how you shoot him. And it's
Yeah.
really cool seeing that. Like, it seems annoying because I can imagine you'd be like, why can't I just shoot them? Like, you technically can, but it's gonna take you many bullets to take them down. So it's like
No, you almost really can't. From what I saw in the
mhm.
as it was going on, like the bullets bounce off the
Uh-huh.
armor to the
Yeah, it's
point
like
where it's like
it's
not
like
even
yeah, you
worth
can see the
shooting.
health. You can see kind of like the health kind of like slowly goes. So
Okay.
it's like it's imperative for you to use that, and it's like it
Yeah,
makes
it seemed
every
like it.
that it makes the combat very like okay, there's this four different robots coming at me. There's a flying
Yeah,
one over here.
it
There's this
looks
big
fun.
one
I
over
have to
there.
say, it looked really fun.
Yeah, it's like it has something like okay, I'm gonna start hacking this guy because I can shoot him with this gun. They're gonna start. I have a bigger gun here that I can go pick from this side and do it. It's like
Yeah.
it's a more compelling than the concept seems. Obviously, Sagat. I'm so out of SF6 at this point. I don't know, Paul. Like, do you even care like about SF6 at this point?
Not really. I went back briefly, and then right after I did, they nerfed Ken into the ground. So
Oh no.
not
Mm.
really interested in playing that. But
Yeah.
I thought what was funny were two very specific things.
Mhm.
One is that for the new Street Fighter live action movie, they confirmed that Balrog will be played by 50 Cent.
I did see that.
That's
And
awesome.
that the after years, literal years of people asking for more outfits, there will
Mhm.
be an outfit for, and they are all swimsuits.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
and
Yeah, I
I
did see
don't
that too.
really, I'm not like excited about that because I feel like everybody's wanted all of these outfits, and they're like,
mhm.
oh, we're gonna go with the Gooner side.
This is a little bit off topic. I just have to say, on the topic of 50 Cent, I blame his existence of his name for people not realizing that you're supposed to put S's at the end of plurals for cents. Because I had people throughout my whole childhood say, "Do you have 50 Cent?" And I'm like, "Do you mean do I have 50 cents?"
You're such a
So,
grammar. You're such a
Oh.
grammar like Nazi. I can see why that would like. Well, like, when you told you saw the typo of Infinite Wealth, I was like, you're one of those, huh? Yeah,
so
Sometimes I'm that way, but
yeah,
not for 50 Cent. I'm gonna
yeah.
call him 50 Cent because that's how he
uh,
pronounces it.
yeah, I'm
right, but I
surprised.
don't
Yeah.
mind how he pronounced it for his name. What bothers
Mhm.
me is that people
People are like
translated
50
that into
Cent.
English as actual money. Anyway,
Yeah.
That's it for the show.
Yes, and just
Do you have
real
anything
quick,
you want to
like,
add, Alex?
yes, the other Worldly Adventures. I'm glad that they keep supporting Kunitsugami, despite the fact that they said that this game didn't make much money for them.
Yeah. It did come to
RE9,
Switch recently, so
yes,
Switch 2
and
rather.
the Switch 2, and it has like it has the mouse feature, and because there's a game where you look up in some places and you kind of move stuff around. I think that would
Hmm.
be like a cool way to use that controller on on that
Yeah.
console. So, RE9, I'm gonna look at that footage and I will confirm you guys if that's the demo that we saw behind the closed doors that I got to ride the
Cool.
preview for. And Image Wild second title update, it's desperately needed right now because right now like the review situation over at the PC version, it's like dire. It's like gone down to like overwhelmingly negative. Like that PC version is like is getting worse and worse. And I feel like the Tale of Wilds is like really lacking at this point compared to like how people felt about World. But I feel that's more over the lack of difficulty of the base content that people just ran through all of it compared to how it was in World. That there's still like I don't know if you remember, Paul. It's like it feels like what they're adding content wise, it feels very similar. Like the cadence has been similar to World, but this
Yeah, I
time,
feel like out from the outside, it feels perfectly fine. But
mm-hmm,
I'm sure if I was playing it a whole lot, I'd probably get tired of it too. But I
mm-hmm,
also feel like the environment is different for
mm-hmm,
people that play Monster Hunter. Like Destiny, you
mm-hmm,
can't just add one dungeon. You have to add
yeah,
a bunch of extra stuff. But
mm-hmm,
like Monster Hunter, it's all about like we're gonna add one monster,
mm-hmm,
have fun.
yeah.
And
They added, I think, 3 monsters is what they announced in this
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
particular
Which is
and then
patch,
it's
by
pretty
the way.
like
good. Yeah, pretty
people
good
are
for a free.
burning through them so fast and then they complain there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you
So it
kind
was
of
two
ruin the
monsters and an arch-tempered
experience.
monster. To
Mm-hmm.
clarify, it was two monsters
Yeah,
and an
true.
arch-tempered
Yeah.
Uthuna. I think the second new monster was
I
Yeah.
Sergius
think
or something.
Monster Hunter is just always going to have
Sergius.
that issue of like the legacy fans versus the new
Mm-hmm.
fans, and it's just never
They'll
going to
always
get
have that
through that.
problem. The series is
Yeah.
around for so long, though.
Exactly. So
But
I think that's just I'm
Yeah.
kind of glad I'm not in the middle of any of that.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
enjoyed
don't
like
really care.
yeah, I enjoyed what I played. It was a fun time. It's like a, definitely like a like Joe definitely saw it firsthand how like our SG clan like literally dropped that thing like a like it just dropped like a bad habit. And
Yep.
I've been like tracking because our buddy Sebastian, he was the first one to be like it seems like that game is like not doing well. I was like, why are you saying that when it sold 10 million like 10 million copies that early? And the player numbers were higher than World. I was like, he based it on the fact that the content creators that he follows stopped talking about. I was like, that's not
He was
the
right, but for
barometer.
the wrong reasons.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So because it was like the community was still in, but now the community is like all up in arms. That the PC version of that thing is a disaster. Like it keeps getting worse, and it wasn't a good version to begin with. And that's where a lot of the players were for this game, even more so than a PS5. So I hope that fix it. I hope this changes. Just right now, there's a weird air to Wilds at the moment, and I feel it's based on the fact that the core content was so easy that compared to World, by the time we got their updates, a lot of people were still trying to finish the base content, so they always feel like they were building towards something. People were just got everything they needed out of this one, and
Hmm.
that's kind of like they went for the casual route, and that's kind of what happens, and they never really fixed that for the end game.
Yeah.
So here's where we are, but I hope this works. And Joe,
We'll see. I mean, you never know. They could change things. That's the beauty of modern games is you can always update them
oh yeah, yeah,
and see if
they're
they.
one Sunbreak expansion away for getting everyone back on board.
Yeah.
You'll see.
All
So
right. That'll do it for the show. We'll close out with the games of this week, which is really super short list this week.
mhm,
I'm just gonna read them because it's just 3 games. The week of June 29th through July 5th is Mecha
mhm,
Break coming to Xbox Series X and S PC on July 1st.
mhm.
Angry Birds Bounce comes to iOS on July 3rd, and Missile Command Delta comes to PS5, Switch, and PC on July 8th. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's like
Dang.
just go back to play Death Stranding or
Holiday week,
any of the
no one's
million
gonna
games.
release. It's 4th of July. No one's
I
gonna
know.
release games this week.
No.
It makes me
Yeah.
think that in the future we need to have some people dropping stuff on 4th of July. Like it's a national holiday here.
Yeah.
It is, but it's the kind of like go out and do things holiday.
It
Mhm.
kind of is, but I could also feel like certain people would be like, "Man, I can't wait to just sit back and
That's
blast this
me.
one game for a whole
That's,
weekend."
that's me
That's
too.
what I'll be doing.
Yeah, I don't
All
like
right.
going
Well,
usually going out. So
thank you guys. I really appreciate your time. Thank you
mhm.
everyone for listening to the show. Paul, where can the people find you?
As always, y'all can find me at Dork of Art on Twitter. I have been finally figuring out how to post things. I'm doing that again, and I will have more things hopefully soon.
And also you've started posting clips over on TikTok.
I did one thing where I made an edit and nobody responded to me, so I needed to know that it was good.
Yes.
And I
It was a
feel
funny one. It was a funny
very
one.
proud of that moment, frankly.
Yes.
But yeah, I hope to. I just wish it was easier to edit audio and video on a mobile device
Mhm.
without resorting to TikTok. But here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Alex, what about you? Where can the people find you?
A underscore George Segovia on Twitter, A Segovia on Blue Sky, as long as the thing stays open. And you can find a bunch of written content over at seasongaming.com, where I'm like rolling out a couple previews that I did over at Season Gaming, like over at a Summer Game Fest, like Pragmata, RE9, and Lego Party. I have a couple other ones coming soon, so that'll be basically pretty soon. And then may or may not review that Stranding too, depending on how long it takes me. But that's pretty much it. And Joe, what about you?
You can find me at Joseph underscore law underscore Rusa on Twitter. You can find my writing at Season Gaming as Don Lionheart. Check out my Mind's Eye review. It is a perfectly okay game. I am sad for Build a Rocket Boy. I
Mhm.
wish that they had just kept it inside and
Mhm.
developed it a little bit more. But that's it. Nothing in the works at the moment for me. Mafia: The Old Country out soon, so that'll be mine to review whenever we either get a code or the game comes out, and I'll buy it and play it then.
Mhm.
But that's it for the show. Again, thank you everyone for listening to the X Button podcast. We really appreciate your time. Give us a like and subscribe if you enjoyed us, or give us a thumbs down if you didn't. That's all right. We'll take all the interaction we can get. It all
Mhm.
helps. It all helps
Yes.
everyone. All right. Thank you all once again, and press X.
To play.
To play.
Good night, everybody.
Hasta la
Thank you.
vista, baby.